I've been looking forward to speaking to our guest for some time. Katrina Rowe has, as I've said before, got this master's degree in international relations. She's written a number of award-winning books. She's a career in radio, and she's a mother of 3, and I'm exhausted already describing all of that too. I want to say to people, you can have anything you want, but you can't do everything. But you must be very busy. How do you hold all that together?
Yeah, look, it is a challenge. I think the important thing is to know why you're doing what you're doing, and then, you know, not to do things that aren't essential to what you're trying to do. So I think for me, my radio, that's my work, but I love talking to people. I love sharing the stories. I love the ministry that we have at Hope 103.2. And the writing of children's books is just a way of speaking directly to the hearts of young people. And so I just see a lot of value in that.
So you're appropriately neglectful. If something's not necessary, you don't do it.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
I think tell us where the story begins then.
For me as a writer, I always wanted to be a writer since I was about 5 years old. I loved reading, and my mum read to me a lot and really inspired my love of books. I think I was always encouraged to use my skills as a writer and therefore to move into media. That was kind of the career that people pointed you towards if you were good with words. But I ended up going into radio partly because of my brother, Charlie, who has cerebral palsy. And because of his disability, one of the things he really enjoyed doing was listening to the radio. And I started to see the role that radio has in building community. I grew up in a rural area, and radio really brought people together across the distance.
Were there some early influences then? You've talked about the young person that was part of your life. Did other people help to inspire you?
Well, it's funny. When I was at school, a teacher once said to me, I got up to read the Bible in chapel, and she said, "You've got a great voice. You should do something with your voice one day." And it was just a really weird thing to say, and it stuck in my head. And so then when I got involved in studying media, and radio seemed like a great way you could get experience in community radio, and you could start straight away doing what you wanted to do.
So you've got some books here. Which was the first one that you wrote?
Oh, Marty's Nut Free Party. I wrote that when my eldest daughter, almost 10 years ago, she was 2 and she had a peanut allergy. And every time we were going to a birthday party, she would say to me, "Mum, I hate birthday parties." I was like, "What? You know, you're 2, you're 3, you should love birthday parties." But she felt left out. She couldn't eat the food, she couldn't eat the cake. And so I wrote that book just to teach children, but also the people reading to them, the parents, the carers, the grandparents, about the importance of taking care of kids with allergies so they're not left out.
And books are a critical way, which, I mean, it's not that long ago, a few years ago, we were told there wouldn't be any books anymore. You know? Everybody be reading their past. It's just not true, is it, really?
No. Yeah, and I think books create empathy, because when you read, you experience what it's like to be someone else. And I mean, I see really little kids, 3, 4 and 5 years old, they read Marty's story and they feel deeply for him. You know, they understand his pain. He keeps getting sick and ending up in hospital. So I think reading, you experience what it's like to be someone else, and you broaden your world. And when you can experience that with your parent or carer, it just creates a wonderful closeness.
Hope Radio 103.2 is well known to us here. We're like partners in different ways, aren't we? Tell me how important faith is to you and how it all joins together.
Yeah, I guess I feel like faith defines a lot of my broader values, like the foundational beliefs of my life, like that we're all created in the image of God, for example, that every life is valuable. Social justice, it all stems from being brought up, you know, with a Christian faith and understanding, I guess, Jesus' call to us that we don't live for ourselves, but we live for others. So I feel like with Hope 103.2, that is the best way that through working in media, I can serve others, because it's the only station that exists to serve others. I mean, I've worked in other stations where it's negativity and, you know, criticism and slacking people off, and I just don't want to be part of that. You get one life. Like working at Hope, we are building into people's lives, we're encouraging them, and we're helping them to get through their day, whatever they might be facing. And
just in a few seconds, because you understand that from radio, tell me a little bit about what motivates you.
I guess I love sharing stories, because stories bring people together and they help us understand each other.
For people who've been listening to our conversation, they wonder what it is about faith that motivates you. What would you say again about that?
Yeah, well, I think when you know you're loved by God, you have the confidence to do things that you wouldn't otherwise do. So I wouldn't, in my own strength, be able to get on the radio every day or write books. I'd be thinking, oh, what if I stuff up? What if I do something wrong? But when I know that I'm loved by God and I'm doing my work for God and there's purpose in that, then it's not really about me, is it? So I don't have to think, oh, what if people don't like me? And what if my book's a failure? Because that's not why I'm doing it in the first place. So it's quite, I think it's empowering in a way if you can use your strengths knowing that God's given you those strengths and all you have to do is be faithful in using them for him.
And to somebody who's thinking, I'd love to be in the media industry, just in a few sentences, what would you say to them?
I'd say don't wait for anyone to give you permission. You start telling stories in any way that you can, whether that's on your social media feed, your blog or your YouTube channel. Just start being a storyteller and look for opportunities.
Well, thanks for sharing with us your story, Katrina. May God continue to bless your work. And I hope people listen to you on the radio. You're on every day in the week at what time?
Yeah, between 9 and 12.
Yeah, that's a good free advert, you know,
Thank you.
103.2.